Today I will show you how to make these super dope viral captions that you've probably been seeing around on Instagram videos or in other types of videos. Yeah, I'm making this video because somebody actually asked me in the comments on how I make my own captions, and my captions are pretty much those like viral captions but with my own spin on them. So anyways, let's jump into After Effects and let's make these captions. Alright guys, so in After Effects you can have whatever clips you want, by the way. I just have some test clips of myself from one of my newer videos, and it's just an intro clip of me saying, yo, it's Pavikas here. So what we can start to do is we can go to this text tool right here and let's place our text somewhere on our neck area. That is the best area for the text because that's usually the other place that people view. So what we can do is we can place it exactly like somewhere here and we can type yo. Don't worry, you don't have to type this, I'm just showing this as an example. And I like to go to this pan behind tool and I like to hold control and double press on it. And this is going to center this part. It's kind of hard to explain what this does, but it's pretty much going to help us center our text very easily. And now we can actually drag this a little bit down, like somewhere where exactly like we want it to look. We want it to be exactly like on our neck. And let's go to align and press on this button to align it perfectly. And the text settings that I'm using is the font called Arial, which is a super basic font. And I like to use the black, but I also sometimes like to use bold italic. I actually like to use bold italic a lot, but for this video, let's just use right now black. And on my texts, I usually like to add drop shadow, and I like to make the softness from 20 to 40. So let's make it 25. And I like to make the distance from 7 to 9. So let's make it to 7. And this already looks pretty good. I actually like to make the opacity sometimes a bit lower for these texts that are not as important, because yo is not something that's very important in the video. But I'm gonna show you right now what is going to be important. So after I say yo, you can listen to what I'm saying after. But it's Pavikas here, and I'm saying yo, and then it's Pavikas here. So I'm gonna cut where I start to say it's. I start to say it's right here. So I'm gonna press Ctrl Shift D and delete. So I'm just going to have yo at this part. And now what we can do is the fun part. So for the fun part, I'm going to type the text a little bit around, and then I'm gonna point out the most important part of the text. This is exactly what a lot of people love from my videos. So let me just show you. So I'm just gonna press on the text here, and I'm gonna type first it's, and again I'm gonna hold Control and double press on this button, and I'm gonna go back to selection tool, and I'm going to place this on the left side of my neck. I'm gonna double press on it, and let's go and change it to bold italic. This is where I love to change it to bold italic. These like not that important text I usually like to have as bold italic, and I'm gonna press Ctrl Shift D, and I'm gonna delete the first part. And now what we can do is we can place the text Pavikas, because after it's I say Pavikas, but actually after Pavikas I also say here. So what we can do is we can instantly place the text here, because that's not the text we want to highlight. We want to highlight that it's Pavikas here. I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna drag it to the right side of the corner, and now I can type the most important part, the main text, which is going to be Pavikas. And I'm gonna type it in all caps. Everything else I like to type in not all caps, but the most important part of the text I always type in caps. And let me go select it here, and I love to use a font called Akira Expanded. So you can get it from a bunch of websites. It's a really cool font, and it makes your text pop out a lot. Like a lot of professionals like to use this one, and I'm gonna position this to the middle, go to align it. Maybe we can actually just line it like this. And what you need to do is you need to make it bigger. You need to make it like pretty big. I'm not gonna lie, like it needs to stand out like this, and you have to place it a little bit on top of your text to give your text more depth. This actually will make your text pop out. Like you can make it even a bit go on top like that. Now let's press Ctrl Shift D and delete. So now that looks pretty cool. And what you can do is you can just go to like the text it's, add drop shadow, and again like I'm gonna make the softness something like 22, and the distance let's make it to 7. Since this is a non-important part, let's make it to 30%, and let's copy and paste this drop shadow on top of the text here. Let's copy and paste it on Pavikas, but on Pavikas we're gonna make it different. We're gonna make the Pavikas distance to 8 and the softness to 30. The most important text has to have a bigger softness, and I like to make the opacity to 70 around there. Yeah, actually for this one it's looking a little bit too much. Let me make it to 57. Yeah, and that pops out a lot. Now our sequence just looks like this, like nothing is really happening. So to actually make something happen, you can go to the text it's or whatever you want, and you can press P, and it's gonna bring up the position keyframes, and I'm gonna keyframe it. I'm gonna place this to the end of where I want my text to be, and I'm gonna go to where the text starts, and I'm gonna make it go a little bit down, and I'm gonna select all of these keyframes, press F9 and check on motion blur. I'm gonna right click, go to separate dimensions, and I'm gonna select on the Y position. I'm gonna go to the graph editor, and here let's make it go up pretty smoothly. So I'm gonna make the graph go like sharp like this. And now look what it's going to do. It's POV. It's going to make its text pop up like this, which is going to be a really smooth pop-up. Now let's go out of the graph editor and we can select the Y position keyframes and press Ctrl C and press Ctrl V on the here text. And the here text needs to start a bit later because I don't say it's here. I say it's Povikas here. So we need to start it like way later. And Povikas needs to start around here. Yeah, Povikas needs to start probably right here, and here needs to start around here. And truly do not forget to add motion blur on your text, by the way. And now this is what we have. It's Povikas here. Still not the best, so let's keep going. Now for the Povikas text, I like to do a bunch of things. I'm gonna show you something I absolutely love to do. So one thing I absolutely love to do is like to go to the Povikas text and I like to change the color to something like yellow and press OK. And now I like to add this effect called CC Light Sweep. And let's bring it down a little bit right here. And let's keyframe the center, the start, and let's go to the end of our Povikas text right here. And let's take this point and drag it right here. So as you can see, it's gonna do a light sweep. It's Povikas here. If you want, you can make the intensity bigger to make it pop out more. And another thing you can do if you have this plugin, it's a plugin called Deep Glow or Deep Glow 2. So I'm gonna add Deep Glow 2, and it's going to add like the nicest looking glow to your text. But I like to place it on top of drop shadow. Oh yeah, my mistake though. You need to place the CC Light Sweep on top of the Deep Glow 2 though. And here I like to make the Deep Glow 2 kind of subtle. I like to make the exposure to 0.05 and the radius, let's make it to 500. Now I don't like to instantly have the deep glow, so I like to usually make the deep glow go in. So let's go to the middle somewhere of our text and let's make the exposure to 0.05 by keyframing it there. But let's go to the start and let's make the exposure here to 0. And some cool ways to pop in the Povikas text could be to do the same thing with the position. Another thing you can do, which I like to do, is I like to flicker out my text. So you can go one frame forward from your text, press Ctrl Shift D and cut one frame out. Go again further, press Ctrl Shift D, cut one frame out. So it's going to pretty much just flicker like this. So this is the result we get right now. It's Povikas here. And a cool thing you could be doing when I'm saying that yo, it's Povikas here is you can press Ctrl Y to get this adjustment layer. And I like to add even more depth. So I like to use the effect transform on top of it, and you can make the scale to start to 100 and go further. And here you can make the scale something like 108. So it's all going to scale up. It's going to look like the text is stuck in there. And you can press U, select all the keyframes, press F9. Also go to the motion blur. We need motion blur here. And now let's go to the graph editor and make the graph something like this. Don't make it the most sharp, but make it pretty sharp. And this is how it's going to look. It's Povikas here. Pretty simple, but that's pretty much the idea behind my texts. I use a simple little text like this. Then I use these type of text to make the text pop out. Of course, I do many different variations, but this video would just be way too long. Okay, actually, let me show you the last bonus thing I like to do. I did this on one of my newer videos. So for example, like let's say you have the text yo, and you can go to like one of the endings of your text. So one of the ending frames, so maybe like right here, press Ctrl Shift D, and I like to add this effect called rotate hue, and you can press U and bring the back point closer. So it's going to look like this. It's going to make like this super cool color. And what I like to do is I like to press S and I like to keyframe the scale at 100 and then go to the ending, and I like to make it to something like 105. So it scales up a little bit, and I like to also select the motion blur. And you could do like so many crazy things, like, you know, use the transform, like the adjustment layer, like at the start, you can like make the transform like 120 and like go to the graph editor, make the graph editor like this. Like this is another thing I like to do. I love to use the transform as well to give way more depth to my text. Like sometimes you can add again deep glow even to this like yo text, like 0.05 maybe make it, but make sure to place the deep glow on top of drop shadow. And and another thing you can do is just abuse the flicker on even normal text like this, like the yo. Like for example, like press Ctrl Shift D one frame forward, delete it, go one frame forward, press Ctrl Shift D, delete it. Okay, and we pretty much get this result. I muted it, by the way, so you don't have to keep hearing me saying yo, it's Povikas here. But as you can see, that looks pretty good. Like this this is exactly how I make my texts. Of course, there are more things, and I could make more tutorials on these texts, by the way, if you guys want. Like, somebody requested this tutorial, I made it for y'all. I absolutely enjoy making texts in After Effects, so it's my pleasure, you know. But yeah, anyways, guys, just have a great day. See ya.